Welcome back to the Resilient Events podcast, where we explore what it takes to really lead, connect, and create with intention. I'm your host, Marisa Cali, and around here we do things differently. This isn't just a show about events, it's about the people behind them. Today, I'm talking about why you don't need to be everywhere to be effective and how alignment in your online presence can create more clarity, connection, and ease. Take a breath and let's begin. Okay, now we're talking about alignment and how that relates to visibility when you show up online. I am all about making sure that we don't burn out and we thrive in the spaces that work for us. I know someone who only uses one platform and they're very successful. They're building something and they don't need to be on multiple platforms sharing their message. Me personally, I am not just on one platform, but I definitely give energy to platforms that I feel serve me, that are fun to use, that don't make me feel overwhelmed, and don't get me in that rut of doom scrolling. So my main point today, which we'll cover, is you don't need to be everywhere to be visible. In fact, chasing visibility can dilute your message and dilute the purpose that you have when you're planning events or content or anything to be visible. So I'm going to start with a story about me deleting and making sure that my platforms were clear of information that might be confusing, or people might look for me and not know what the heck is going on because it doesn't align. So I have had a TikTok account and it was great to get content ideas. I think that when I'm escaping work and really wanting to dive into topics, I would use that to find out info. A true crime thing that I watched on Dateline, I would go down the rabbit hole and start learning. And the algorithm was serving me stuff that I was interested in. However, that only made me feel more overwhelmed that I needed to create more content to go viral on TikTok and have people really consume it. I would look at the numbers. I would start posting on there, and it really wasn't something that I wanted to use for my business because I was using it mainly to consume. And I felt pressure because everyone was like, oh, did you see that TikTok? Oh, did you do this? Oh, I got to be on TikTok. And it just wasn't for me. And I made the decision when it was taken down to never relaunch it again. The platform was taken down, and it was just a reminder that I don't need to put all my energy into one platform. And at the time, I didn't feel too much pressure because I didn't care to share it with other people. But I know it's an internal thing that sometimes people feel pressure to be everywhere, to be seen, to scatter their energy in different places. And that in turn causes a disconnect. So that's just one story of where I made sure that I was aligned with the messaging that I wanted to get across, but also me as a person. Like, my purpose for being on TikTok was never about business, but did it align with me as a person? Not really, because I can get my true crime stuff elsewhere. I don't necessarily need to be on TikTok for that. And, the random TikToks that people will share with me and I can't watch them anymore, that's okay. They'll either download it if it's really important, they need to share it with me, or they can explain it to me. It's not something I need to be on. So the myth is that if you're not visible on whatever platform, then you'll be forgotten. And I do not agree with that. That is not true. I have had multiple deactivations of platforms because they're not serving me. I will put a message up on different platforms or in different areas saying I'm no longer on this platform. You can find me, on wherever. And that is really important. And I know that, we might be fully into what platforms people use and why, some people that listen to this, why are you talking about platforms and alignment? I need to remind people about it because I think there's a constant thing in our industry that people will constantly be comparing themselves to others and not really leaning in on who they are. And so if this reminder will be that light bulb moment of you saying, okay, I'm going to stop stressing about this one thing that's been on my mind, then I've done my work. I am not here to pressure anyone to tell someone they're doing it wrong. I'm only here to guide you and see that, what works for some and what works for me, and what, as far as alignment and really connecting with my brand and my business and, who I am, has really helped my business thrive. So I can speak from experience. And we also cover that in the retreat that's coming up in January, and making sure that everyone's aligned and affirmed in what they want to do, who they are, and how they want to move forward. So mostly about who you are, and make sure that your business is aligned with you as how you want to show up as a leader, as a businesswoman, as a friend, as a family member. All of those things are talked about at the retreat. So I want to revisit this myth of, if I'm not visible, I'll be forgotten. Misaligned visibility can attract the wrong clients. I've been there. People will think that I do one thing, and I don't necessarily do that. I can talk about it. I can make sure that I can find another partner who might actually work on that. But if I'm getting the wrong clients because I'm on a specific platform, I can get burnt out. I've been there. It was about 2 years ago. I took on almost everything that came to me because I was growing the business and I was really excited, but I didn't listen to who I am, how I thrive in the business world, and what I need to do in order to succeed. So that crashed out pretty quickly, and some other factors in there. Maybe I'll share that story one day. But it was because I was really kind of getting clients that weren't necessarily aligned. Now, when we talk about alignment and how that feels, alignment feels peaceful. You wake up in the morning, you're excited to get to work. I'm recording this podcast on a Saturday after 4th of July, and I'm excited to share this message because everything that I'm going to share, or that I am sharing now, it feels easy to share. I'm really clear. I have a lot of confidence in how I show up and how I come to networking meetings, I go to events, all the things. I have a clear head on my shoulders. Maybe there will be a time when I don't have that, but the alignment is really, really key because I'm not taking on something that doesn't feel right. And hustle, there's hustle culture has been glamorized, and I share this with a lot of people, and I don't know if I've shared it on the podcast, but I was almost attracted to the hustle culture of always being busy, but not really doing anything with that. So yeah, I went to plenty of events. I networked. I was always answering phone calls. I was always getting little projects here and there, but it was in a hustle mode, and my bank account was reflective of that. So it definitely didn't allow me to really be aligned in my business and my why and who I was. And so if I had to pick, I will pick alignment in business over hustle. And there still can be hustle within alignment because you're aligned with the things that light you up and that what's in your business that makes you feel good. So here are some things that I think that would help you get more aligned. And this is more of a strategy or some questions you can ask when you're thinking about auditing yourself and what energy you're putting into your business and your brand, ask yourself these 3 questions. Where do I feel drained, or where do I feel energized? Where do I feel drained or energized? You can answer those. Where do my ideal clients or community actually hang out? Now, your ideal clients may not be online. They may be online very briefly, but then you have to figure out, where can you reach them? How can you make those calls? Do you need to meet with people in person? That's something that for me has shifted a lot. I don't feel like I need to be everywhere all the time online, because my ideal clients are not that. They don't understand being online and sharing message, but they need my help. So I need to meet them through other people, talking to other clients, going to networking events, and really just meeting people in the traditional sense, so to say, in person. Shaking hands and kissing babies is what they say. And then the third question is, where does my voice feel natural or valued? I had someone listen to a recent podcast episode after the relaunch, and they gave me compliments on how I was sharing my message and how it felt way more natural. Or, no offense to John. I think that, really leaning into doing this solo is where I feel the best, and I can show up more confidently and feel really good about sharing what I need to share. And when you shift into more, you shift from more to meaningful, that's where you can really find your sweet spot. You need to have your well-aligned messaging and make sure that you're sharing what you need to share versus oversharing and sharing things that don't really align with you. And I deal with this all the time, because there are things that I want to share in the moment, but I kind of step back and make sure that I'm not oversharing or not saving it for a time that I can share it with my email list or with LinkedIn or anything. It's always pausing before I share to really think, okay, how does this align with who I am? Now, I will say that where I am finding more comfort is actually reaching out, and I mentioned this just briefly, is actually reaching out one-on-one to people and making one-on-one connections and conversations, finding those people that I can connect with and really share my message, being not afraid to get on the phone call and share what I have going on. It's really important that you make those human connections, because people, when they're consuming it online, you have like 3 seconds to really get someone's attention. And if you don't have a lot of energy to put into that, then maybe that's not something that you can do. It's something you can outsource, or you can figure out what the best strategy is for you. But I mean, I am all about that. I'm all about strategy. And, sometimes people think, oh, I got to post every day and be there every day so people remind you. Yeah, maybe that works for you, but are you burnt out? Do you feel good about this? Or is it something where you need to be a little more strategic and step back and get aligned with how you are showing up online? This all ties back to presence, and how presence weighs so much more than pressure. And if we're focusing so much on the pressure to do certain things or be certain things in our business, then we're not being present at all. So that is a really key point. I want to make sure that it is highlighted. Presence over pressure. Now, I will go very quickly through this part, because you may not have an online presence that's You may have that already aligned with who you are and you have the strategy, but maybe you want to revisit it. So the strategy for figuring out where you need to show up and how you want to be visible online is pick one platform for depth where you're going to share your long form content or you're going to build community. And that could be LinkedIn, it could be Instagram. Pick one platform for reach or awareness. Now, this would be, connecting with people that maybe are not in the business community. Maybe they are not your ideal clients, but they might be able to share your message or understand who you are and connect you with the right people. This should be only awareness and not necessarily forming those deep conversations or getting people into sales conversations. And then everything else is optional or repurpose. Now, I think repurposing is super important. There's a lot of ways to repurpose written content. There's a lot of ways to repurpose video content. So many questions, and I think what it comes down to is where are you feeling the most presence when you show up on that platform, or where do you feel that people are most resonating with your message? And I think that a lot of people are mixing the two. So someone will say, okay, well, I love Instagram because I'm on Instagram and I'm a visual person, but they will never get on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is where business happens and business conversations are happening. Yeah, of course you share your personal stuff and you share more of your personality, but people are welcoming of business conversations, of data, of things that are changing in industries. It happens there, and it does take a little while to get into LinkedIn. And I've been using LinkedIn for almost 10 years now actively, and also training people on how to use it and figuring out how to have the best LinkedIn profile that reflects that person. And the algorithm is tough. It's hard to break through that. But when you show up most aligned to who you are as a person, your business gets the side effects of that, because it will show up, ooh, I want to work with that person. I want to know more about what they do. And sometimes those, fall off, people forget, and your DMs go quiet, but it is also about you showing up confidently because you've now shown your core messaging, your core values, your beliefs in a way that resonates with people. People are inspired by it. So you don't need to be a full-time content creator to be seen. And that's true. You don't need to follow trends that don't align with you. If you don't feel like you want to do a viral ice bucket challenge that's coming around for the second time, don't do it. It doesn't feel right. If you're more lighthearted and you want to do that, go ahead. You can imagine the amount of content ideas that come through my head as a content person, and I just have to throw them away because they don't align with me and they actually make me feel pressured to do more. And I don't want to do it. It doesn't make me feel good. So grab a journal or a Post-it or wherever you want to jot this down, or maybe a digital notebook like what I have, and reflect on this question. What's one platform you can release and just put on the back burner? And then the second question is, where do you want to recommit to with more intention? If you're thinking about where that is, I can definitely help you with answering that question if you want to reach out to me, or if you want to have me have a look at what my first impression of your online profiles are. I'm happy to do that. Please reach out to me. So again, I want to reinforce this idea that clarity comes from focus and not noise. I know people who are super busy, they're super busy, but they're also really aligned with what they want to do. So it's busy is not bad. It's when you're doing a bunch of things that don't align with who you are. And then if you'd like, please let me know where you're focusing next. Leave a comment and let me know if there's something that you're letting go of. I'm going to cover those 2 questions one more time. What's one platform that you can release pressure from? Remember, it's all about presence. And then where do you want to recommit with more intention? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.